Hey, it's Terry Gorry, and this is the Irish Law and Small Business Podcast. Let's talk about gender recognition in Ireland. When I first published a video on my YouTube channel covering the suspension and the ultimate jailing then of the school teacher Enoch Burke, who was teaching in Wilson's Hospital School in Multifarnham. I originally did it from the perspective of an employment law matter. I do quite a lot of employment law, and it's not often that you see a disciplinary process or an investigation or a disciplinary suspension, even with full pay. It's not often you see one of those making the headlines, because it's just ho-hum sort of stuff. It's regular stuff that happens every day in the workplace. But when you see the way that this thing blew up, and the fact that Mr. Burke continued to go back to the school in breach of these High Court orders, and ultimately then was jailed in September and sent to Mountjoy prison and released then just before Christmas. The original motivation of me making the videos essentially was that from an employment law perspective it was unusual. It was unusual and it was interesting. And then Mr. Burke obviously brought in the whole question of gender recognition and etc., etc. But the fundamental question, the fundamental issue at the outset from me, from my perspective, was that this was an employment matter. It was simply disciplinary suspension, etc., etc. And lo and behold, this man keeps turning up in school, in the workplace, and eventually gets jailed. So when I published the videos, however, it opened up a kind of a can of worms in relation to gender recognition, and a lot of comments on that question were left on my YouTube channel, and obviously I've observed a lot of comments generally on social media sites, including Facebook and Twitter and so forth, and there is some interesting comments, to put it mildly. I thought I'd make this video because there seems to be some confusion about what's up for debate and what's not up for debate. Okay, some of the comments then on social media and on my YouTube channel dealing with this question of Enoch Burke being jailed in Mountjoy prison, the school teacher from Wilson's Hospital School, and he claims it is about gender recognition and so forth. But some of the comments I want to just deal with because they are representative of a certain group, small group of individuals, but a group nevertheless. Let's take the first one here. No one should be forced to refer to someone with a Christian name as they, Zen, or any other nonsense. Someone needs to stand up to this gender identity delusion before it adversely affects everyone. Second comment there is from a gentleman called SK. He should never have been bothered by the legal system in the first place. This so-called sex change thing is ridiculous nonsense and dangerous. And SK goes on then to say that, let me just bring it up here. Are you seriously telling me that if someone cuts off their manhood and create a hole, that will make one a woman with the added help of female hormones? What about having a womb? Can this person give birth? No, of course not. You're away with the fairies, etc. These comments are indicative of individuals, a group of individuals who appear to think that there's some debate to be still had about gender recognition. But from their perspective, I have bad news. And that is that we have gender recognition law on our statute books since 2015. And you can see there the Gender Recognition Act of 2015. Section 8 makes provision for the application for a gender recognition certificate. So a person may apply for a gender recognition certificate, and there's a process through which they go. The individual or person who is referred to in the Section 8 is set out in section 9, and we can take a look there to see who's actually eligible. The section applies to a person who satisfies the conditions specified in subsection 2. Basically somebody who may or may not be ordinarily a resident in the state and whose birth has been registered, etc., etc. And you'll see there the provisions and the requirements, who's entitled to apply. But the bottom line is, from the point of view of the comments that I've had a look at there, and the comments generally on my YouTube channel, and the comments generally on social media generally, what those individuals need to consider is that there is an act on the statute books since 2015 which makes provision for gender recognition, as you can see, and down at the bottom then it tells us that the purpose of the act is to, here we go, you'll see there that the Gender Recognition Act of 2015 is an act to recognise change of gender, to provide for gender recognition certs, and to amend various pieces of legislation, including the Irish Nationality and Citizenship Act 1956, the Civil Registration Act 2004, the Passports Act 2008, and the Adoption Act of 2010. The fundamental point is this: the debate, if you live in a democracy, is over. The people have spoken, the legislators have legislated, the law is on the statute books. Now, you may wish to open up a debate again, or you may wish to operate in and live in a theocracy. However, for those people who are satisfied and willing to and happy to live in a democracy that is free from the authority, as it were, of religious rulers, and free from the authority of, for example, the morality police that you might see in Iran. For those of us who live in a democracy, the debate is over. We have the legislation, and it is perfectly lawful and legal for an individual under Section 8 and the individual set out in Section 9 may apply for a gender recognition certificate. And that is the legal position. It is a perfectly legitimate, lawful aspiration. If you find this video interesting or informative, I'd appreciate if you gave it the thumbs up down below, and I'd be interested in reading your comments on the content down below on my YouTube channel. Thanks a lot.